Ark's spot Bitcoin ETF is first in line. Okay, so the SEC has the first deadline is August 13th, which is actually by the end of this week. Okay, so they will either reject it or not reject it. And if they don't reject it, that means they're going to allow it to go through, but they may say, okay, we need more time, right? But we'll see what the SEC does. If the SEC will still want to continue to be dicks, Gary could just say, no, we're shutting it down and give some BS answer. But considering what has happened so far this year, I don't think that he's just going to do that. He may just say we need to extend it, right? But the furthest he can extend this for at least Ark's Bitcoin ETF is sometime in January. The other ones from BlackRock and Van Eyck and WiseTree, those are they could be extended until March. But this one is 2 months ahead, right? And if this one gets approved, then all those will get approved. Because they're basically all the same thing. They're all using Coinbase as surveillance partner, and they're using Coinbase as a custody service, right? So basically, and they all have a ton of ETFs. They're all asset managers, right? So they know what they're doing. And if this one gets approved, then all of them will get approved. So this could be a huge cast that's coming even this week, right? But I think SEC is probably going to push this as far as they can all the way to January before they approve it. And that would be terrific because then all the other ones will get approved in March right before the halving event. So if that happens, then Adam Back's prediction of 100,000 Bitcoin by the halving event can definitely come true, right? So that's why so many people are bullish. Adam Black, who is kind of like a OG in the space, he believes that Bitcoin will reach $100,000 between now and the halving event, roughly end of March, beginning of April. He believes that it will reach $100,000. Is that unreasonable? Well, I think that's pretty bullish. I don't think there's a lot of people that think Bitcoin could break through its previous high before the halving event, right? I think most people, including myself, I think we'll get pretty close. I think we could definitely hit maybe like 50, 60, maybe even 70,000 by halving event, right? And then we shortly, a few months after that, we'll break through and go up, right? But he's very bullish, and so many others are too, including Ark, right? Kathy Wood, super bullish. Michael Saylor, of course, always bullish. Mike Novogratz, bullish. There's a lot of billionaires that are truly, really, really, really bullish on Bitcoin, right? Also from another chart perspective, this Gusain channel, I think that's how you say it, Gusain channel, right? If you look at and go all the way back to this previous lows, right? There's only been 3 other times when Bitcoin went into the red and then turned green. And then what happened after it turned green? Pretty good things happened, okay? And we have just turned green. After being in the red for a very, very long time, basically a year, our drawdown this drawdown that we had was the biggest that we ever had in history, okay? The percentage, not the biggest, but in terms of the overall time length, this is actually the longest drawdown we ever had, okay? Which means if you survived, you can survive anything, okay? So finally, according to this, we have turned green. Again, another metric that shows that we are out from the bottom, we are in the next bull run, and greater days are coming, right? And this is another fancy chart that shows the same thing. Basically, as we move closer and closer to the halving event, we'll be trending upwards, right? That's the yellow that you see, the accumulation. And then afterwards, that's when we go into that parabolic phase, right? About a year and a half, a parabolic rise up. And who knows where Bitcoin will be by then, right? So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are too. Sometimes the market is just boring. Sometimes it doesn't move. And in majority of cases, that's a good thing. right? When volatility is low and we are so strong, set at a certain level, that means a big move is coming. And I do think this next leg up is right around the corner. 2 historic metrics broken. First one is a technical one. So the Bollinger Bands, okay, on the weekly scale, has never, ever been this close in recorded history for Bitcoin, okay? Why is that significant? So it's considered a squeeze, okay? The top range and bottom range has come together, and it's basically squeezing Bitcoin. And whenever you go all the way back to the very beginning, whenever you have this happen, whenever you have a squeeze, Bitcoin breaks out in a volatile way, okay? And it has never, ever been squeezed this much in history, in Bitcoin's entire history. So that's number one, okay? Some big move is about to happen. Now, you could argue the move could be to the downside, but I'm arguing with everything that's going on, this big move, of course, is to the upside. So that's number one. Bitcoin is being squeezed, okay? Squeezed. And this is very positive. This is, of course, measuring the fundamentals of Bitcoin. The long-term holders, okay, now hold roughly 14.6 million Bitcoins, okay? That is all-time high, roughly 75%, okay? Bitcoin long-term holder percentage has never been this high in Bitcoin's history. Never, ever has 75% of Bitcoin been held by long-term holders. So just think about that for a second. Even when Bitcoin was sub 1,000 or sub 10,000, okay? Even during those low points when Bitcoin's price was carried by long-term holders and retail investors, the short-term holders have dumped, right? Even during those periods, has never been higher than now. And we are definitely much higher than those previous lows, right? We're recovering from our previous low at 16,000. People forget, beginning of the year, we were still at 16,000, right? So we're roughly 100% higher than that point, right? And despite the fact we have recovered so much, we're around 30,000, 75% is being held by long-term holders. So think about that, right? Just wait until FOMO kicks in as we get closer to having an event, as we get more catalysts to drive Bitcoin higher, right? There's just not that much supply. Supply is diminishing as holders continue to DCA, as institutions come in. It's really that simple, right? So this is also pretty damn good. Historic high, historic low for volatility, historic high for number of holders. You do the math, right? This is all going to add up to something big, a big move that's coming. And I've been saying that for a while, but it is coming. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the year. It's shocking how fast time is moving, but we will see something huge happen soon. Before the end of the year, quite possibly. And then after that, we're going to see possibly a spot Bitcoin ETF get approved, maybe something else, maybe another lawsuit gets dismissed, right? Maybe Coinbase's lawsuit gets dismissed. There will be other catalysts, but we're getting closer and closer to the halving event, which is why so many people are bullish, including institutions. It's not a coincidence that you have like 8 major asset managers come out with their applications or submit their applications for Bitcoin spot ETF and now Ethereum ETFs, right? It's not a coincidence. They know if it gets approved right before the halving event, that's the best thing that can happen, because when FOMO kicks in, everyone's going to want a piece of those ETFs, right?